Hello, Cancer. This is your homework family reading for September. Let me hit the bell. Wow. Thank you. There's somebody here who feels somewhat like a clown. And they're definitely not going to like acknowledging it, or that they're going to be out to be made to look like a clown. And right before I started the video, for all you Cancer signs, more or less something got pushed or thrown at me in a way from Spirit to have me understand that that's what it was. Because right before that, I was having a conversation with Spirit and going through a little bit of a meditation and trying to figure out what we were talking about before I do the video for you. And the very last thing was I was given a clown showed up and then it disappeared. And then something got knocked over and like thrown at me. And this is saying, they're not going to like that they're being made to look like a clown. They're not going to like, and I'm not saying that it's you or it's not you. It may very well be that you're starting to acknowledge it and not putting up with so much shit anymore. Because what Spirit gives me is, when I was starting to first ask questions, they give me a path that I go down a lot. There's a place, if you follow me a lot, you probably know that I go to that little island I like a lot. And I go up over by the cliff and whatnot, and there's a little island, and it's surrounded obviously by water, because it's an island, duh. So, anyway, I'm walking down the path, and, there's grass on both sides. It just looks, at first I'm just thinking, we're walking on a path. And what happens is we're coming up to where the path ends and it's water. And I'm noticing, that we've walked on the path, we walked on the path, we walked on the path. We hit the water, and I'm noticing the traveling energy of the water, how it moves. And before I know it, it's like I've put my toe in the water and like we've become the water and the flow of it and how the water is flowing and its own path. But as we go down the path of the water, we actually no longer are the water. And when I see the path of water and that flow of energy is becoming, that emotional sensitivity of that water is becoming a snake. And I see the snake turns into like, and that is right when everything shifts. So it's like being grounded, being on a path, sure of yourself, no problem, no big deal, doing your thing. And then all of a sudden into this emotional depth that's just traveling very fast on, taking you through some very important stuff. And as it does, it turns into a snake with the hiss as it comes up. It's like you're coming out of the mouth and realize that you actually are the snake. So this is, in a form, you protecting yourself. Because as soon as that happens, it all disappears and I get a knife thrown, not a knife, I get like a sword thrown into the ground. For me, this is bringing in clarity because I connect it to the tarot cards. When the sword comes through, it's protection, but clarity, truth. And being in the ground means now you're grounded again. You're seeing the truth. You've come past the bullshit. At that point, they give me the honeycomb, which means there's an enlightenment. You've been enlightened to the truth. But at that point is when the clown shows up. The clown does not like that you've acknowledged the truth, is what I feel like this is all about. The clown is realizing that you're acknowledging the truth. You're seeing you're getting clarity. You're getting enlightenment past whatever bullshit has been told, whatever idea or scheme in some form, and they're not liking it. And I am definitely getting some stinky energy. So it's definitely somebody negative who's not liking the fact that you're either, coming full circle, figuring it out, moving forward, getting that enlightenment, getting that clarity, standing up for yourself, being protective. I'm getting that energy coming out with the sword at the same time. So this is, a positive on you. I don't think that the clown energy is you, unless that's dealing with, a little bit of taking responsibility for a situation that made you feel like a clown for a moment, and you could kick yourself, basically. Because for some of you that might be the situation, because they're saying responsibility in the situation, taking your part of the responsibility. But they definitely said sensitivity, and they're saying definitely something to do with relationships. And might be between the idea of getting in the way of the goals, the dreams, the ambitions, and the unconscious mind that was allowing it not to come true, which is now becoming conscious. Yeah, hopes, dreams, goals, ambitions, something about what you had desired, you'd hoped. You was unconscious to the fact that it can be this way or it can be that way, but you weren't seeing it for what it truly was. And now you're able to see how to make that actually start to come forward, or you will be starting to see that as you work through this month, because you're coming out of that unconscious state. You're getting clarity. And somebody's not going to like that you're going to be able to do what you need to do for you, period. And that's just tough fucking shit. Okay, with that being said, yeah, it's a new self-realization is what Spirit is saying. The new self-realization coming out of the subconscious of, I guess, bullshit within a relationship. And relationships can be anything. It can be, relationships with friends, foes, family, spouses. It can even be a relationship with your children. Relationship is anything you care about, but it can also be working environments. So there's something somewhere that you're going to get clarity of. And they're not going to fucking like it, but, fucking well. And you'll take responsibility for your part and fix it, period, is what I'm being told. Or at least that's what they're expecting to see happen. Now, before I get into anything else, because that went straight into talking before I even got a chance to say anything else, they are again, they're telling you, keep yourself physically protected. This doesn't mean necessarily a fight or something along that line, but what's happening is the wolf is scratching my back, and the wolf happens to speak to me about the physical world of keeping yourself protected and on alert. So it's definitely acknowledging that other situation of the bullshit is something about it's a little shady, and you're going to acknowledge it by staying alert and physically protecting yourself with consciousness and with clarity of what is truly going on, because you're aware to pay attention is what they're giving me. Okay, sorry. Let me get on with what I was trying to say before I get into all of this. First off, this is September, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, Cancer signs. This is the whole month of September. It's not the 1st through the 15th. It is not the 15th through the end of the month. It is the entire month. The reason why is I'm going to start trying to do 2 videos in October, and I'm going to try to start making them. One is a tarot, one is an astrology, and give you whatever I'm given from Spirit either way. With that being said, I've been running late. I've been having situations. Those of you who follow me knows my mother was in the hospital. She is starting to get better, and thank you for your prayers and your healing energies that you've sent and everything, and just for caring in general. She is starting to get better. With that, it threw me really far behind. So I'm just going to be throwing in the whole thing, trying to wrap it up really fast, put everything into the one reading, and then I'll be back to start October's, hopefully before October, and we'll be right caught back up. So with that being said, From I think the 28th of August until the 7th, I've been saying Othala is in the astrology. Othala is in the astrology. It speaks to you of sacred space. However, it's going to be speaking to you of sacred space by acknowledging where it's not. But it is sacred days up until the 7th of September, of acknowledging certain things after those certain sacred days. Then that Othala in astrology disappears and it becomes just a T-square. And that T-square will be there all month to help make sure that you stay on that right track by acknowledging where something's wrong. And where am I trying to go? Where's Google? Thank you. Because a T-square is stuff that is not exactly comfortable. It is not positive harmony energies. They are energies that are not getting along. They're meant for you to overcome it and find out what is the problem so that you can overcome it and find healing within the energy. The T-square that lasts all month is from Pisces with Neptune and Lilith going over to Virgo. And let me just tell you, there's a whole hell of a lot of Virgo going on. And and then it's going up to Sagittarius with Cancer. Sagittarius with Scorpio. This is speaking to you of your 3rd house, 6th house, 9. Your 3rd, 6th, and 9th house. This is saying right off the bat that this has something to do with your communication with yourself. Your communication with yourself and your daily routines. And Virgo is no longer the same energy Virgo was. And it's going to continue to mature and grow over time for the rest of our life. Because the regular star is now in Virgo. Which means that detail-oriented personality that was a little bit dry and really logical, now has been given heart, like a heartbeat. Not that Virgos didn't have a heart before, but they've been given a whole new form of energy because the regular star is now in here and it's kind of getting to where it's waking up. It's kind of bringing that heart of the lion from Leo over to Virgo, and it's asking those detail-oriented, troubleshooting, finger pointer, perfectionist, health and diet, and talking to you about what you consume. It's taken it from an idea of only being logical to, well, does this serve me? Is this good for me? Does it make me feel good? Does it help my heart? Does it help my soul? And it's added a new level of logicalness. It's added a little bit of depth into what's going on with these daily routines and what you consume. And this is speaking to you in your communication house. You've got a whole lot of Virgo going on. You've got the sun in Virgo. You've got the sun in Virgo, Venus in Virgo, Mars in Virgo, Uranus in Virgo, and communication in Virgo. And then they're going to all start to move in towards Libra, other than Mars. As we make it through the mid-month and into the end of the month, they're going to be moving from Virgo to Libra. But this whole time, this conversation happens to be coming from your 3rd house of that communication, seeing the truth, going back and forth, no longer making excuses. Because as a detail organized analyst, Virgo as communication for you was really trying to see both sides of the story. But now she's starting to go, well, emotionally, what's the truth here? Emotionally, how things really are, what's really going on, and is that good? Is this good? Is this conversation going to serve me? Is it going to be good for me? Is it the truth? Am I being lied to? It's really starting to see things from a different aspect, and then it's speaking to those routines, your daily routines, and like I said, these daily routines speak to us not just of our diet and our health and our everyday routine, but it speaks to us about what we consume. And we consume people, places, and things, their energy. And are those energies that we are consuming healthy for us in our daily routine? Then it is going to that ninth house. It's making you understand and really look at the relationships that you have in your daily routines, and are they for your highest good? Because this is your ninth house, I believe, that it's also speaking to. Yeah, so this is asking you from the depths of yourself, what's the ethics and the morals, your spiritual urges, your dreams, your higher self telling you? And are you listening to your higher self? Because there's something here that your higher self is trying to communicate to you within your daily routines that will support you by changing something that's not. Okay, and Spirit keeps saying something, some part of that for some of you happens to be the part of the community that you have. That there needs to be growth within the community in some form or another because of the way they're giving it to me. Now, that's why I keep looking over here. That is the T-square that's going to last all month. It's going to be a new discovering from the higher self into the communication of yourself and really reorganizing your daily routines and the patterns that you keep, as well as the people and the places and the things that you keep. As you get further into the month, you have the full moon, which takes place on the 14th, and it's a void, of course, from Pisces to Aries. Now, for you directly, this full moon is in your ninth and your 10th house, which is going from your higher self to that outer community where your honor, your prestige is, your financial success, your financial and social foundations are. It's speaking to you of the outer world, its authority and responsibilities that are of the professional world. And then it's asking you, is this serving you? Is this serving you from your higher self? Because it's coming out of that 12th house and into that first house on a universal level. But for you, it's coming out of the 9th house and then out of the 10th. So it's an end of a cycle and a beginning of a cycle. It's also coming from higher self into outer projection of that outer world. And are these things serving you? Because a full moon is going to be showing you where things are not, so that you can release, surrender, and let go of these things at that time. Now you also have Mercury and Venus moves into Libra the same day as the full moon, which is the 14th. This is your universal 4th house. This is where your inner emotional security is. This is where your true self is. This is where your upbringing was taught to you, whether it was right or wrong. This is, where you return. There's stardust. The soul comes back to the home of who and what you are, reminding you that inner emotional security is far beyond this. But it's also speaking to you of those karmic lessons that get you to the far beyond this, and the reincarnation that helps you plant that inner emotional security. You have Mercury and Venus moving into Libra, asking you, are you truly justified? Or are you picking yourself apart? See, because Libra tends to have this bad habit of, I just want to create harmony and balance, so I'll settle so that I can make harmony and balance. And when it's your inner emotional security, there's not going to be settling. There's not going to be settling, because if you settle, there's not going to be inner emotional security. So is it justified in your life that's going to bring that inner emotional security to you by realizing who you are, what you need, and what you stand for, and what is no longer meant to be in those relationships or your daily routines and that community, are the responsibilities of these situations honestly serving that inner emotional security. You've got Mercury here that's going to be communicating with you. You've got Venus here that's going to be communicating with you. Sensitivity and communication in Libra, where harmony and balance usually is not found. It's where it's created if it's done right, by actually doing it in a just way, not by just making making harmony where it's not meant to be. Sometimes you have to do the hard work. You have to put your foot down. You have to say, no, I won't take that shit no more. Sometimes you have to stand up for yourself in order to get to that just area. Now, on a higher level, spiritually, yes, we're all above that. But as human beings, we have to remember we're still working in the third dimension. We have to keep reminding ourselves of that. So this is about not allowing you to block yourself by emotionally telling yourself something's okay when it's not, because the higher consciousness is also Haumea is also in Libra, and so is the lotus flower, asking you where you are on the maturity of the lotus flower and the very collective consciousness, speaking to that inner emotional security. Now, you're also going to have on the 23rd, the sun is going to move into this energy and illuminate it, and then you're going to have on the 28th, a new moon in this energy, all of your inner emotional security, and set new goals and directions according to what you've learned. This is why you're given that snake on, I'm going to see the true clarity. I'm going to do what has to be done. And I'm sorry if you now look like a clown, basically, is what I feel like I'm being given. But, I see the truth, and that's that. And this is the way it's going to have to be now, is what I feel like I'm being given. A whole new enlightenment. But don't forget, on the 18th, Saturn is going to go direct for you. That's the universal 7th house. So this is putting new relationships in their place by acknowledging what has been the fuck out of place. I'm sorry, but really, where people need to be put back in their place, because you're going to be noticing what relationships need to be in your life and which ones don't, which ones serve you and which ones don't, which ones have the proper rules and are just and are meant to be in your life and have proper fair responsibility. They're joint resources, joint efforts, joint finances in some of these relationships. Are they fair? Are they balanced? Are they just? And you're going to be acknowledging this, because up until the 18th, Saturn, which is rules, laws, and boundaries, is going, would you figure out what it is that is sacred to you, so that we can set these boundaries right by you understanding what your inner emotional security is, because I need to have the foundation to do this. The problem is Saturn's sitting right with the south node. So you've gotten very good at letting some shit slide, and it's time to stop that. And it's saying you have to acknowledge the relationships for what they are, the true energy of what they are, and call them for what they are. Understand also that Pluto will go direct on the 3rd, and it's going to back up everything the 3rd of October. So this is energy that is building into a brand new foundation, but it's not going to fully strengthen until after Pluto goes direct and Mars actually enters into Libra on the 3rd and the 4th of next month. Now, I'm going to run out of time, so I do apologize, because I'm starting to finally learn how this phone works. So please check back for part 2, and I'm going to go straight into the tarot. I love you guys. And if you enjoy the videos, please subscribe. And by any chance, if you happen to want, a personal reading, personal astrology, or anything along that line, just look at the description box below. Thanks, guys. Bye.